Hello, everybody. I'm here a minute early just to make sure that everything's running smoothly. Okay, hello, that's Roxanne. I know you. Let's see, Nico, I don't know. I'm going to do the shout outs in the beginning like I always do. Hey, Denny, how are you? Yeah, Denny has great, good morning, Deviates. Who is that? Chris. Hey, Cynthia, how are you? Let's see, who else? Justin, yes. So there's a bunch of people watching already. Yeah, good night. Yes, hello. Hey, Sue, how are you? Hey, JD, it's good to see you. Kind of. I mean, it's great to communicate with you again. Hey, Cynthia. Let's see. Hey, Nils, how are you? Nils is a great bass player, great vocalist, and he's got killer hair, man. And see, hey, Orlando. Okay, so we have a lot of people watching here. So I think it's time just to... I like to end with that little bluesy thing. Yes. Hey, Denny, thanks. I look forward to doing them as well. Hey, Roxanne, again. So we have a lot of people here. I see Tanya. Hey, Nils. Yeah, the metal sign. I'm going to be back in California in a couple weeks, so I'm sure we'll all get together again. Now, this lesson is about Floyd Roses. Now, when I posted this, I saw some hate about Floyd Roses and about people, oh, well, I have this Trem and it's better than this Trem. I just want to clarify a couple things. First, I have been using Floyd Roses since the very early 80s. We're talking like 1981. Okay, so I have a lifetime of experience with Floyds. Now, I also have a lifetime of experience without Floyds, but... I'm in the zone today. I've been doing a lot of filming and recording. But let me tell you why I love Floyd Roses so much. And I've actually been speaking to the man, Floyd Rose, lately. And so here is something. I know Kaler Systems. I know Gary Kaler. I just talked to him as early, it's about a year ago, because ever since the end of February, nobody's talked to anybody in person, man. No, but just after COVID. But last year around this time, I got to talk again to Gary Kaler. So I'm a big fan of locking tremolo systems. Now, let me tell you some of the things that I love about them. First of all, now, I love when you lock a strings here. Now, I'm going to see this. With these Sawtooth guitars, one of the things that I think a lot of people have had bad experiences with is because they ended up getting a guitar with a Floyd Rose that was a lesser quality one. This is the top of the line Floyd. Look at this bad boy. I mean, it's great. I just feel like I'm in the zone to shred tonight. Now, you know why? Because I'm feeling good. This is Joey. Now listen, I'm the star of the show. I don't care what Angelo says. I'm the star. It's all about me, me, me. You see right here? I'm going to get a tattoo that says narcissistic because I'm the man. Wait, no. I'm the hand. I'm the hand that feeds Angelo. So don't think that it's him. He's only like just doing what I'm doing. And wait a second. Cool it. I tell you what to do. No, you don't. Yes, I do. No, you don't. This is a hand with a mind of its own. Now, we're thinking about he needs a sock. He needs a look. So I'm thinking about either little Mikey or making him look like Vince Neil. See, he wants big hair. I like hair because I got these little hairs on my head, but it ain't too much. So anyway, getting back to the lesson here. Floyd's rule. Now they are, in my opinion, the best tremolo system on this planet. Now, that says a lot. I mean, you have guitars like Yngwie that do not want locking systems. You have a lot of guitar players that don't want locking systems at all. Hey, more power to you. But let me tell you why they are so good. One, time has been a judge. Time has said, and like I said, way back in the day, I started using Floyd's and Kahlers, okay? So I'm very familiar with both. The thing about Floyd Roses is that once you lock this up, and if you know what you're doing, if you understand the Floyd, it is so perfectly, it won't go out of tune and you can beat the heck out of it. I show my guitars no mercy. And so this is the thing that I love. It locks here and it locks here, but I have a few workarounds. After being signed to 2 major labels, I was with Warner Brothers, not once, but twice. And what I learned from that is that I have a lot of sayings, but one of them is that you can't think outside the box unless you know what's in the box. And I know what's in the box. See, I've lived this. I've lived 2 major record deal bands. The band Holland, second, the band Nitro. I know what it's like to be involved. That's like if you're in the NFL, if you're a professional soccer player, if you're a professional baseball player. So I know this league very well. I was in it for a while. And so I made a conscious decision to not play that game. And so I made the decision to become a solo artist. I was one of the first. I mean, you had Joe Satriani, you had Steve Vai, you had other people in the 80s, but it was really only a few that could get out and tour with their own name. And I was one of those. But I developed a show on my own. But I learned about Floyd Rose Trems from dealing with music stores in 58 different countries. So you don't know what it's like to walk into Switzerland. I'm in Lucerne, Switzerland, Lausanne, or I'm in Montreux, Switzerland, or I'm in Basel, Switzerland, and I pick up a guitar. It's like, and I'm like, wait a second, that's not really in tune. Wait a second, I'm flat. Now, what am I talking about? First, when somebody tunes a Floyd Rose and you don't do it right, now here's what you have to do. Do you see these pieces here? There's a little Allen wrench. All you have to do, and you be really gentle with these things, when you are working with a Floyd, make sure you always have the tremolo bar on it. There's a really important reason for that. So you can bend it. Watch when the bridge, see when I bend this? Do you see how that moves up? Well, when it moves up, it allows you to fine tune this and to tune it up. See this guitar right now, this is the M24, STM24. It's in stock now. We have the top of the line Floyd Rose. But like I said, a lot of you probably have used the lowest level Floyd. The metal's not as good, and you probably had bad you had a bad reaction to it because it's not that good of a Floyd. This is the best on the market. Also, the second to the top of the line is great as well. But after that, it starts getting kind of weird. So you have two levels of Floyds that really are good. First thing, when you put a string on, what you have to do is when you put a guitar down like this and you start to work with it, and it's not the easiest thing to actually be gentle on a guitar and to understand how to tune these Floyds and how to string a guitar. For example, when you want to restring it, you take this Allen wrench and you turn it clockwise. Okay, so literally that way. It will unscrew this and the string will literally pop out. What you have to do is the first thing you do, the string has to be cut and you place it within this. You can see these little, see those little holes right there? It's right there. And so what you have to have happen is that it has to be in the back. You place the string in, and it's got to be in the center, and then you tune it up. Now, here's one of the secrets. Do not abuse this. Tune it to where it's tight. Now, here's something that I've learned. Tune it as tight as possible, but don't crank it to where you break anything. Then when you put on all your strings, you keep going back and retuning the ones that you've done before. And the reason is, and I can't even explain this, and I'm a smart guy, that it loosens up a little bit as all the strings get put on. But what happens is, if you're gentle with it, it eventually tightens up tight. See, one of the things that I've learned from doing so many clinics around this world, and that's what I said. After 2 major label record deals, I decided to take a completely different path to my success in music, continued success. I did clinics, I did solo shows, concerts, clinics, solo, all over planet Earth. I've been doing this for decades, but it's also given me the ability to see literally over 1,000 different music stores, thousands of different guitars with Floyd Roses. So I've developed a system based on experience and practical knowledge about this. First of all, don't manhandle the Floyd. Secondly, get a good Floyd. Make sure it's the top of the line or second to the top of the line. If it says Floyd Rose Special, you're at the bottom and you're not going to have a good experience with it. The metal is better. They're either made in Germany or Korea, and they're both amazing. The Korean ones are made to German specs with all the same materials. And so when you restring this, you have to take care and don't lock this up. So you remember, it locks up. And this is one of the things that you have to understand. A lot of guitar luthiers are purists. A lot of people online think they know more than anybody, and that's why you get such negativity online. But very rarely do I get these pundits, these negative internet pundits, that actually have even 100th of the experience that I've had with it. So, you know, there's Robert says nothing. You know why? Because he holds the pick silently, waiting to unleash the power. Okay, so what I'm saying is that I've had real life experience with this. I know Floyd's backwards and forwards. I know Floyd's backwards and forwards. And so anyway, once I learned that when you have these parts, you have to take care of it. And I mean, I take care of my guitars. I've got over 170. I should know something about them, but I don't lock it up. See, when I restring, I make sure, and then what I do is now I'll put my string dampener down. People want to know what this does. It actually blocks the strings. Versus, so when I put this bad boy down like this, before I lock up a Floyd, I start to play, and I just start to, I start bending strings. And then I start the shred. Okay, so then I bend the strings out really good. Then here is one of the most important things. Take your time. It takes about a half hour to restring strings on a Floyd, but it's so worth it. There's so many benefits to a good Floyd Rose system. One, once you do it right and you lock it up, it stays in tune and you just beat the heck out of it. Now what? I just beat the heck out of this guitar and it's perfectly in tune. Why? Because Sawtooth uses the best Floyd Rose on the market, makes it affordable for you and me too. And so one thing that you do, once you stretch it out, now here's what I was trying to say. And this is where the guitar luthiers, I love them to death. I mean, there's a lot of people in my life that do their job much better than me. But not many people have my real world experience when it comes to playing a different guitar every night. I mean, that's a thing, or a different amp. Okay, so I played pretty much every amp on planet Earth. I mean, 90% of, you name an amp, I've probably played it. And just like I've seen so many guitars of varying qualities, and I've had to play them live. And there's thousands of videos on YouTube as a testament to this. But here's the secret. A lot of guitar luthiers put their guitars on the stand where you see the thing where, it elevates the neck and they restring it and they tighten it up. There's two things most luthiers do not do. One, they do not tighten these tight enough. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that when you're playing this Floyd, the string is actually in thousandths of an inch is moving out. It's not tight enough to hold the freaking string. It really sucks. I'm going to tell you why, because here I'm playing all this really cool stuff, and all of a sudden it's out of tune, but it ain't me. It ain't me. Joey's right. It's not me or him. And so what happens is these are too loose. That's why I said you gently turn these things and make it tight, but don't overdo it because you can break things. Be respectful of the instrument. And so once you do that, and remember, if a guitar, and this is what I'm alluding to, what I'm saying. Once a guitar is on a bench, so now you have a lot of luthiers who are fantastic at their job. They intonate it perfectly, they put the strings on right, but they lack the real world touring experience that I've had 30 plus years of. And here is what it is. One, when I used to do a lot of clinics, I brought the magic tool. The first thing I would do is I would stand up and play and check it out, tuning, and I would check these. 99% of the time, well, let's say 90%, not everybody did this. First of all, these were too loose. First. Second of all, when you tune a guitar on a bench, just sitting there like this, and you stand up to play, it's going to be flat all the time. 100%. Let's say nothing's perfect, 99.99%. Why? They don't factor that in. And see, when you stand up or you sit down, it makes a lot of difference. I have to adjust my Floyd Roses for whether I'm sitting down or standing up. And that is Now, so what do? I took the back plate off this guitar. Do you see those right there? Okay. Here's another important tool. It's a Phillips screwdriver. And here's another thing with the purists. They'll go, oh my God, don't adjust the tremolo, bro. You're gonna ruin you're gonna ruin my intonation. Dude, you just ruined the setup. I am the most tuning crazy guy you will ever meet on planet Earth. I cannot stand to have my guitars out of tune. I have done this thousands of times, and it means nothing. A great player, it's like where you hear this, what is it? Okay, mean tone. They call it something like true tone tuning. Where you see like the Steve Vai guitar where all the frets are jagged? True tempered. First of all, our system is well tempered. It's out of tune to start with to accommodate all the keys. Now, that's a whole other discussion. But so true temperament is BS. Okay, so just the name alone, it's a selling point, but it's not accurate. This is real world experience. When you set up your Floyd, be gentle with it, take care of it, respect it, but tighten it up so that it's tight as heck right here. And then when you stretch out the strings, you're doing. You hear how in tune that is? I beat the heck out of these guitars. That's why they're so good. You can show them no mercy. And then once you do that, you ask yourself, are you going to stand or are you going to sit? So if you're going to stand when you're tuning, now these haven't been locked up yet. Okay, so this part of it hasn't been locked up. Stand. Real world application. If you're going to sit down, tune the Floyd up. Also, too, these are micro adjustments. So make them so they're all the way up at the top, which means all you can do is bring them sharp. And when you lock a tremolo, you lock it a little bit flat, and you always tune up. Even if you don't have a locking tremolo system, let's say you have a fixed bridge, you never tune down, ever. You tune up. Why? If you tune down, you leave tension on the strings that could be caught here in the nut. In other words, you are begging to go out of tune once you vibrato a note or bend a note. You always tune up. You want to make the most tension that you can. That doesn't mean to play stiff. So now a couple things. So I hope you get something out of this. Now, I had a lot of topics to cover, but I really genuinely want to help. And so remember, if you're going to sit down, you tune your Floyd up. Now, here's the cool thing. Did I show you this? Yes. Did I show you this? Yes. Here's where the purists go insane. There is no law that says your tremolo has to be even to the body. I have guitars in my collection that do not like that. They go up a little bit. And see, what that means is when it goes up, the bar goes up a little bit. And so what I found is this. If you're having a tuning issue, let's say you're flat, you've locked up your guitar and you're flat, and you're tuning, but you tune one string, to regular, to in tune, but then the next string goes flat. The reason is because these springs are a counterbalance. In other words, you have to have opposite equal tension to make a Floyd Rose work properly, but that doesn't always mean it's level. See, that's the thing. Again, it's the purist. It's like wrong, bro. No, it isn't wrong. I've done this thousands of times, more than you. And so I know based on experience. And so what I do is this. I either take a Phillips with me or I have it. If the guitar is flat, if a luthier has put it on their bench and tuned it up, I know standing up and I see the guitar's flat. I immediately will do this. I will immediately go to the back plate and do about a quarter turn on each side tighter. So I bring the bridge down a little bit, and what that does is it brings the guitar more sharp. And when I find where the guitar likes to be, see, that's the key. Where does the guitar like to be? Not where the pundits say it should be. Technically it should be this. Technically, I have a degree in music and I break rules all the time. You're talking to an expert about technically. Have you ever played in Malaysia more than once? Have you ever played in the jungles of the Philippines like I have? Yes. And you probably haven't. And so, and it doesn't mean I'm better or smarter. It means I've had more experience with this. And I'm waving the screwdriver because, see, Joey thinks it's like power here. And so, but it is conductor. But it is the secret that when a guitar, when you can't tune it up, when you see it's flat across the board, then you have to adjust the springs a little bit. You need a counter tension to bring the springs tighter to make it in tune. Now, conversely, if the guitar is sharp, you need to loosen both screws just a little bit. Minute things make a big difference. So I hope that helps a little bit, because everything on a guitar and everything in music is, there's intellect involved. And so if you do things mindlessly, mindless things start to happen. But I have been beating the heck out of this guitar. Now see, the string dampeners block the strings, so you really can't use a wang bar. Now I call them wangs or trem bars, but let me show you a few things you can do. You see these things like this where you see the fret markers? Those are actually fundamentals on a guitar. Yes, it's a roadmap, but it's also to say there's a mathematical reason why these fret markers are placed where they're at. For example, 12th fret. It's halfway from one side to the other. But again, our system is not perfect. Well-tempered tuning is slightly out of tune. So do you see this bridge, why they can adjust it back? Do you see this one saddle, how far back it is? This is the prototype of the ST M24s, and the bridge was not 100% accurate. But here's what I can say about Sawtooth, and I will say it unequivocally. Their production models are better than the prototypes. And I've never seen that with another guitar company ever. Their prototypes are to get things right. And that's what they should be. And so what they did, they had, I mean, literally a 1/16 of an inch. The minutest part will make the difference between being really in tune and not. And so once you do all this stuff, then you can start playing with it. Now, given that these are called fundamentals, meaning they're mathematical, like E here, E here. Then you have this. And then you have this. So you have E, E, you have B. This is the 5th. On the 7th fret, the best fundamentals are frets 5, 7, and 12. And here's what you can do. I mean, Van Halen was a master at this. Now, there's another thing called positive or negative. You notice like a lot of young guitar players now, they'll put their trem like this. And that's cool. I mean, I think the reason why a lot of younger guitar players do that is just to be different. It's really not the most... it's not the best place to place a tremolo. Why do you want it behind you? You know, I mean, what good is it? What if you need it? And see, so there's a lot of things you can do with the trem. For example, vibrato. When I was a kid, I used to only vibrato using the bar. I had a little Fender Mustang. I have one in my collection, a 68, mint condition, but I used to go like a... And I wrote a song like that. Like, I was 10. I call it, I think it was like Speed Race or something. And so, now I vibrato more like this. Now, but you can use a tremolo to vibrato. So that's one of the uses. You can use it to do the Van Halen dive bombers. I love these things, or the dime bag. One of the best places to do it is a fundamental. 12th fret, 7th fret, 5th fret. But the 5th fret has especially cool things where you go. And then and so what you can do, and this is really cool, you take the third string on the fifth fret, or you can take, and that's on the right side of the fret. In other words, the side of the fret closest to the pickups, closest to the body. But you can also take now watch. So you can make it sound like World War III. Now you hear how perfectly in tune it is? That's what makes Floyd Rose's better than all the other ones. You cannot do that on a stock Fender. You can't go like this. World War III! Death to all! Do that because they lock on both sides. That's the beauty of this. If you do it right and you pay attention, it's not that hard. It's easy. Just have some intellect behind this. Just don't go into it mindlessly. I mean, listen. Now I shut that off. I was goofing around, but watch. I use the third fret to the right of the fret on the third string. The third string is pretty magical for all this stuff. See, because again, it's a fundamental. That's what it's called, because it breaks things down mathematically. Then you end with the dive bomb from the depths of hell. And then you add the metal look. And then you are right back in perfect tune. Floyd Rose's rule. They just absolutely rule. But there's one other extra added thing to this. There's a tonal, there's something about, see, when people talk about scale length and they talk about string size, you are cutting off literally this much string from the sound of your guitar. But there's something that makes, here's the word I use for it, tight. They're tight. See, when I do, like when on my first solo album, the song Science Fiction, then I went like this. It's just tight sounding because once this thing locks up, why do you think Vi uses locking trems? Why do you think Joe Satriani? There's a tightness to this that makes melodies like and so when you hear like just Science Fiction, this part I love. there's a tightness to it. There's something about the tone that can't be duplicated with a non-locking tremolo. And so when you hear a lot of the melodies that I played over the years, I mean, on my 15 solo albums, you know, there's just this sound. I have to use a Floyd Rose when I play melodies on my records. I have to. It just sounds so good. I mean, when I played the original No Boundaries, every version of No Boundaries you've ever heard has a locking trem system. So I hope you got something out of this, because you know, there's also one last thing it's called a positive stop. And that means this, that you can bend upwards. Now, you can also get a block underneath it. See, a Floyd Rose moves up, moves down. See, when a lot of younger guitar players play like this, it's very conducive to playing up. In other words, higher. But I don't like it. I don't like it like that. I'd rather have it like this. And so, and so you can move up as well as down. Some people like what's termed a positive stop, meaning it stops the bar from moving upward, and that's perfectly agreeable if you want to do that. I didn't want to do it. Dimebag didn't want to do it. And so, you know, a lot of people don't. But anyway, I love Floyd Roses on the Sawtooth signature MAB models, the top of the line Floyd Rose. Remember, a lot of times you might have had a bad experience. You just didn't use a good Floyd. And so that's it. Now, I want to talk about one other thing too. You know, we're getting into the Christmas and the holiday season. My instructional videos, I have 13 instructional videos through Metal Method. I've got jazz progressions. I've got jam with Angelo. I've got all the speed kills, the original one. I've got 3 different speed kills. I've got how to learn No Boundaries. Get my lessons. They will help you. You know, I've said this 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000 more. Speed kills works. It works. 50 years from now, it will still work. I don't care how advanced guitar players play. My methodology comes from a lifetime of experience touring, but it also comes from a lifetime of experience being an educated instructor. And as you know from me, A, I'm not a politician. B, I'm not going to tell you what religion, or even if you believe in a religion, to practice. C, I am an unbiased judge of what you should learn musically, but I can show you all the techniques that you need to learn technically. Technically and musically are 2 different things. I give you the technique so you make the music you want, and I make no judgments on what you want to play. That is not my job. My job as a teacher, as an instructor, yes, I'm going to give structure to your playing live. But what I'm talking about is this. I will give you the keys to the Lamborghini, but I can't make you drive the car. It's up to you to drive the car. So when people say, dude, like you never gave me the keys, bro. I did give you the keys. It's up to you to drive the car. Now, lastly, I'm wearing a Rat Pack Records t-shirt. My latest album was released in June called More Machine Than Man. It's available on vinyl, on CD, cassette, and digital download. And we have 2 music videos for the record. Yeah, it is a great album. I'm really proud of it. My rhythm guitar playing is stellar on it. I used virtually all 7 strings on this, 7-string guitars. I have a brand new 7-string guitar with Sawtooth that's coming out. What I really wanted to do with my new signature series, when you see the double guitar, I wanted to go back to my youth a little bit. I wanted to use classic shapes. No, not we can always do graphics. I was a pioneer of all the cool graphics, and doing them in Photoshop, not airbrushing. That's different. I was a pioneer on taking a Photoshop drawing and making that look and translating it to a guitar. We can always do that in the future. That is not a guitar company. That was me. And working with great people who could do these graphics. But what I want to do now is I'm very much into using traditional shapes with state-of-the-art sci-fi electronics. And I can't say enough. It's like, that's the thing that I love about working with Sawtooth now. We have a whole series of signature guitars that are coming out. These are available now in the $400 price range with a top-of-the-line, the best Floyd Rose you can get on planet Earth. It's great. And we also have my, it's called an STM24 in Trem, it's like flat black, and so matted black, and it's over there. It's in the $250 price range. It's amazing. And so, on my album, More Machine Than Man, I was able to use some of my Sawtooth guitars on there. Plus, when they make their traditional, the ES series, like the Strat series or the ET series, the Tully series, they sound amazing. And they're using woods like sycamore that's super light. I don't want to carry 10 kilos on my shoulder. Oh yeah, dude, like feels awesome to play the Lost Arpeggio. No, it doesn't. It's like, oh my God, these guitars are super light, and man, they rule. And so, also too, I want to say, go to my YouTube page. All the lessons that you see here, if you want detailed instruction, metalmethod.com. If you want to see everything that I posted on Facebook and all the other platforms, go to my YouTube page. We have a lot of content there, and it's a lot of great stuff. Also, too, I want to tell you, this Saturday, Vintage Guitar Magazine did an incredible review of my new record, and they asked me to do a video kind of expose. And so I talked about my signature guitars, and I played live, and and obviously no edits or anything, just like the original Speak Hills. I don't need to edit my stuff. It is what it is. And just like tribute to Randy and all the other things. And so it's going to be out Saturday. And I want to say this, thanks to Guitar World magazine. They wrote an article about the 15 most influential, groundbreaking, change the way the guitar is taught instructors of all time. Mel Bay, who has been around, his books have been around for like 50 or 60 years. His family owns, it's the Bay, publishing. So he is number one. I mean, he's really taught more people than pretty much anyone else on planet Earth. Number two, Joe Satriani. Number three, Michelangelo Badio. And so, and these are people they considered that actually changed the way people thought about teaching guitar and thought about the guitar. And I'm really honored to be in the top three. People like Tommy Emmanuel, Guthrie Govan, Paul Gilbert are on that list, but it was me, Joe, and Mel in the top three. So again, I want to say, if you had like negative things about a Floyd Rose, you probably didn't use the best Floyd Roses, because there are different levels of them, and inexpensive guitars have inexpensive parts. That's the difference with Sawtooth. The price points are great, but the parts are first rate. Big difference. And so if you have any questions about this, you can contact Sawtooth. I do a lot of things, where I post publicly, and I'm not a person to answer private messages. I get too many of them. But if you want to post something publicly, I'll be able to help. I just want to say this. Floyd Rose Trems, in my humble opinion, are the best ones on planet Earth, and they've proven, they've been there the test of time. Time will tell. Time is the judge. Time is the judge of my Speed Kills programs, and it's selling better than ever now because the methodology was great then as it is now. Same thing with the Floyd. The technology was right the first time, and they just do subtle improvements. Anyway, I'm Michelangelo Badio for Sawtooth Guitars, Sawtooth Amps, Chromacast Parts, and go to PS Music. I'm going to be in LA in a couple of weeks, and we have so much content coming out. It's going to blow your mind. Go to my YouTube page, go to sawtoothworld.com, and go to metalmethod.com. But lastly, it's time. I feel like the Wang from World War III. No! The bomb! It hit, dude! A lot of damage, bro! And perfectly in tune. Best Floyd's Sawtooth Guitars rule. I trust them. Believe. See ya.